daily basis, footwear handbag production jumps on strong Japanese orders. Experts discuss solutions to bad debts. And local dairy firms grasp opportunity to expand markets. Hello, you're with me, Taizong, and let's start with the stock market. Shares of the Ho Chi Minh City stock market on Thursday trading sessions slightly decreased, while the Hanoi Bourse also closed in red. The VN index lost 1.88 points to close at 498.22. Trading volume was down 0.38% compared to the previous trading session to 28.326 million shares, and fund certificates changed hands worth $22.8 million. The VN30 declined to close at 550.07 points. The situation was not better on the Hanoi Stock Exchange with about 15 million shares changing hands. HNX index lost 0.36 points to finish at 61.86 points. Similarly, upcoming index also declined, losing 0.15 points to stand at 42.18 points. And up next are losers and gainers of the day. More than 16,600 new businesses was licensed in Ho Chi Minh City in the first 7 months of this year. It is a year-on-year increase of 5%. The total registered capital of the businesses is more than $3 billion. The city received 224 new foreign direct investment projects worth $260 million. 68 other FDI projects also registered for capital expansion worth more than $300 million in the first 7 months of the year. Many Japanese importers have shifted their orders from China to Vietnam. That's why the leather and footwear sector expect to surpass its target of $9.7 billion this year.
Turnover is expected to increase even more if the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPP, and a Free Trade Agreement, or FTA, between Vietnam and the EU are signed. Many importers, including those from Japan, have shifted orders from China to Vietnam. Exporters already have orders through the first quarter of next year, according to the Vietnam Leather and Footwear Association. Many Japanese businesses have recently arrived in Vietnam. Liu Vingtang, director of Hoàng Kim Handbag Limited Company in Ho Chi Minh City, said his company exports all of its products to Switzerland, Germany, France, and Japan. In the first 6 months of the year, the footwear sector owns almost $4 billion in turnover, an increase of nearly 14% compared to the same period last year. Bag and suitcase products also saw an export growth rate of 22% in the first 6 months, with a turnover of $911 million.
Most credit institutions see brighter prospects for the second half of the year, according to a recent survey by the State Bank of Vietnam. The survey revealed that 124 credit institutions around the country said that bad debt remains a major issue, and subsequently, business results for the first 6 months were not as good as expected. But credit institutions remain positive about the next 6 months, when the economic recovery will bolster capital and encourage credit growth. More than half of the banks said they expect an increase in customers when interest rates on deposit and loan
regulatory framework are. Even when a loan is secured by assets, in some cases, that might be the land, but sometimes banks are unable to put up the assets for auction, a sale to recover the loss. And if the case is brought to court, it still takes a long time to resolve, normally 1 to 2 years.
The launching of Vietnam Asset Management Company in July was considered a bold move of the government to deal with the NPL issues within the banking sectors. However, John Sheehan, an expert in resolving NPLs in many countries, seems skeptical about the model.
You have a new VAMC, but its success is dependent on A, being able to resolve sufficient volume of loans, and then of course paying for it, because I notice that the VAMC is paying book value at the moment for loans that it purchases this year. Clearly there's a difference between book value and market value. The market sets market value. The market is always king. And really paying for that is, I think, the biggest challenge facing VAMC and Vietnam as a country.
Sheehan proposed 4 solutions for Vietnam to address bad debt issues, including recognizing NPL pricing reality, funding the cleanup, creating effective NPL infrastructure, and re-educating and training bank staffs. Among the 4 solutions, creating good NPL infrastructure is said to be the most important.
Well, as we say, they need to find vehicles for investors to actually hold loans in. Investors need to come in and be able to buy the loans, hold them and monetize them. So you need to have the structures in place to be able to do that. And of course, as we say, there are complications with legal ownership of land and things like that that need to be resolved. But it can be resolved on a temporary basis, as Thailand did. Thailand had property funds. Once the problem was cleaned up, they cut them. And foreigners had to go back to the sort of normal system again.
Sheehan also said the quicker the problem of NPL can be resolved, the faster the economy will rebound, which also means a better and more sustainable economic growth to take place.
The State Bank of Vietnam yesterday unexpectedly increased the US dollar price sold to commercial banks by 274 Vietnamese dong to 21,100 Vietnamese dong. The central bank kept the rate unchanged for the past month. Experts say this increase is attributed to the bank's decision to resume purchases of the greenback after selling it to stabilize the forex market last month. For the past week, the central bank has halted the sale of dollars, but the market has remained stable. And up next, the exchange rates updated for today. Vietnam exported more than 4 million tons of rice in the first 7 months of this year. The country rakes in more than $1 billion. According to Vietnam Food Association, the July figures were almost 600,000 tons, worth over $200 million. The VFA forecasts that rice exports will reach 7.6 million tons this year. Last year, the country shipped a record 7.7 million tons of rice, earning $3.5 billion. The Ministry of Industry and Trade is considering to allow exports of unsold sugar stockpiles. Statistics show that the sugar inventory 2 months ago reached almost 500,000 tons, 108,000 tons higher than the same period last year. The 2013-2014 sugar crop, which started this month, is expected to meet and even exceed the demand from November. While high inventories burden sugar enterprises, smuggled sugar is also a headache. The General Department of Customs says more than 100 violations of temporary import for re-export have occurred, totaling almost 14,000 tons. Fonterra scanner has raised concerns among Vietnamese consumers about botulism, a potentially fatal food poisoning. But representatives from Vietnamese dairy manufacturers have reassured the public that domestic dairy products are not contaminated. For a long time, imported dairy product has been more popular than local brands. But due to recent food scares, the market is opening up for local milk producers.
Nguyen Việt Hạp from Ho Chi Minh City used to think that imported baby formula was better than locally made products, but he's changed his mind since hearing about the bacteria in Fonterra products.
I am very concerned about the quality of dairy products now. I think I'll buy local milk for my children. We import whey protein from the US and EU. We don't use materials from New Zealand.
Local consumers are returning to local milk products, which is a great opportunity for Vietnamese businesses. Vietnam has great potential for agricultural development, and milk to produce baby formula can be sourced locally. Although NutriFood still imports materials from the US and Switzerland, the company is gradually switching to local materials and has